Some friends of mine recently told me a story that comes to mind in these wondrous days that we are celebrating. It has to do with a friend of hers that, with her husband, had gone through the pain and the anguish of a number of miscarriages they had repeatedly experienced when they tried to start a family. And as a number of years, many years had gone by until she was finally able to carry a child to term, a son. And so the nursery that she and her husband years before had painted and fixed up was finally filled with the laughter and the cries of a newborn baby boy. And this woman told my friend that for however long after he was born, I don't know how long she did this, she would just walk into his bedroom at night after he had fallen asleep, stand at the foot of his crib, and just look at him. And there she would say with joyful but tearful eyes, "Thank you for coming." Christmas is a challenging time of year to preach. How does one adequately put into words what we're celebrating this evening? How does one sum up the mystery that you and I are called to contemplate again for the umpteenth time in our lives? How does one do justice to the fact that what we are celebrating is not merely the holiday that is celebrated at the culture at large, but the fact that God, the creator of everything that is, of all that is seen and unseen, who is infinitely happy, has chosen out of his wondrous and extraordinary mercy for you and for me to burst onto the stage of human history, being born like us, for us, all of us by name. Leave it to a mother to give us the words. Thank you for coming. I have to imagine those same words were said by another mother, another woman, 2,000 years before, as she alone could know the shocking truth of a child that she had carried in her womb and to whom she had given birth to, as she beheld him that Christmas morning. Thank you for coming. And I would suggest that those same words should be on your lips and my lips, not just today or tomorrow or the next day, but every single day of our lives. Thank you for coming. But why did Jesus come? On this great feast of Christmas that we celebrate, I'd like to suggest there are maybe 4 substantial reasons that should cause our hearts to swell with gratitude. First, he came quite simply to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that God cares for us and about us. To all the accusations that have been uttered against God, all the curses thrown his way down through the centuries, here in this manger, in the flesh of Jesus Christ, born of the Virgin Mary, God chose you and me, that he is always with us, that he hasn't abandoned us, that he hasn't simply wound up the universe and then retired up to his den in heaven to watch the news or to watch us struggle with our lives. Everything that Jesus does, everything, discloses something, reveals something, makes something known about God because he is God. And his birth reveals to you and to me the simple but life-changing truth that you matter to God. Your life, my life, means something to him. Otherwise, quite simply, he wouldn't have bothered to come. Thank you for coming. But this quickly causes a second reason to arise, that my life, that matters to him so much, hasn't always been lived all that well. There are, quite honestly, some dark and ugly moments in my past, and so for all of us, he has come to bring mercy and forgiveness, to offer hope, to give you and to me the chance to start all over again. For some of us this evening, that might be the greatest gift we've received today. The news that no matter what's back there in our past, we can leave our past behind. The past filled with so many choices for so many of us that tempt us so often to feel that we're damaged goods or somehow defined by the decisions that we've made, regardless of how good of a front we may put on to others in public. Thank you for coming. Third, he has come because he wants to feed us with himself, to give us the strength that you and I need if we are to live well this pilgrimage we call life. Remember that everything that Jesus does makes something known about God? So where is he born? Bethlehem, right? As the gospel tells us. Well, Bethlehem means something. What's it mean? In Hebrew, it means house of bread. And where is Jesus lying in this house of bread? He's lying in a manger. That is a trough. God, the creator of everything that is, who has become a man, is lying in a trough out of which animals eat. What's that tell us about God? Well, it tells us that God doesn't merely want to give us stuff, as good as stuff can be, as fun as stuff can be. Some of us are excited to go home and tear open the stuff underneath the tree, but all that stuff, as good as it can be, it all gets old eventually. PS5s get replaced by PS6s. What God gives us is life. What he offers to you and to me is friendship with himself. The truest remedy of the loneliness and the boredom that comes to all of us in some way or another at points in our lives. A loneliness and a boredom that no box, no matter how big or small or how nicely wrapped it is underneath the tree, can ever definitively cure. What you and I and everybody on the face of the earth want, even if some of us don't know it, it's quite simply God. And from this altar, he gives himself to us in the Eucharist. Under the appearance of bread foreshadowed long ago where he was born in Bethlehem. And in the Eucharist, God gives us everything because the Eucharist is himself. Thank you for coming. The fourth and final and most important reason he came is Jesus came to die. You and I were created by God for life, abundant life. Jesus was born to die. We in the parish have experienced many deaths this year, not just from the pandemic, for many reasons. Many of you experienced loss this year, and for many of you, Christmas will never be the same. That can be a good thing, that Christmas will never be the same. Without it all minimizing the tears and the anguish and the grief that some of us are going through right now, it can be good because the real meaning of Christmas is so much better than the one that is celebrated out in the culture. Because the real meaning of Christmas is that God has leapt onto the stage of our history, born as a child with a purpose. And the purpose was to take on our greatest enemy, death, and to destroy it forever. That's why he came. And that's true. And because it's true, it gives you and me hope. Even especially as we say farewell to the ones that we love. God cares about us. He gives us a second and a third and a fourth and 15,000th chances in our lives to start all over again. Who accompanies us every step along the way, so that this journey of life, and has by his death in glorious resurrection made it possible for you and for me to share in his own life forever and be reunited with all those that we love who we can no longer see. That is what we are celebrating tonight. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Merry Christmas.